back to the Think Small podcast. My guest today is Cynthia Kay, representing Cynthia Kay Biz. She has an exceptional experience in the communications world and running a media company. Thank you, Cynthia, for being our guest today.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted. I always love to talk small business.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I find that small business is like just the lifeblood of America, right? There's such an impact for such a small, like we think small businesses, when you compound them all together, it's like they're a force to be reckoned with. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I heard an interesting stat that I can help you with here yesterday. Small businesses are owned and or managed. We touch 70 million people in the U.S. So if you think about it, that's not all that small.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about your background, because I think we talked on our podcast prep call. It's been a little while now, so catch me back up. I know that you were running at 1.2 companies and then made a strategic exit, so we can talk a little bit about that and then talk about what you're doing now. So tell me about your background.
It's interesting how people in small business, start down a path and then kind of move to a different path. So I actually worked in broadcasting for 13 years, thought that was kind of going to be my career. And then, life happens, and I decided, like many folks in corporate America, that I wanted to be my own boss. And I think that's very common. I think a lot of us feel, we want that ability to create something and to really control our destiny. So I started a media production company, ran that for 39 years. So long time. And really was doing a lot with global Fortune 100 companies, medium-sized businesses, but lots of media production. And so had a really good long run, and along the way knew that communication is a huge issue for all companies, big and small. And so I started a second company, which was focused on communication and speaking, writing, working with small businesses to help them be better at what they do. And exited the media production company actually in 2025, just a couple of months ago. And am now, don't know exactly how I don't know how I had time for the second business because I'm busy writing and speaking. But small business is really my passion. And I have spent a lot of years working with organizations like the Small Business Association of Michigan. I actually was the board chair for the National Small Business Association and spent a lot of time working and actually am still on that board, working with small businesses to help kind of get our message out and advocate for small businesses.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. 39 years is a long time. So, and it's pretty incredible that you've seen truly like the full life cycle of a business, right? From getting it up and running, growing the business, seeing that sort of apex, climax of the company, and then making your strategic exit. I'm curious about what tips and advice you give to those entrepreneurs that are maybe 2 to 5 years in that are looking to have a long career as an entrepreneur, as a business owner.
Sure.
So that way they can, keep that boat going, the doors open, and finding the success that they sought after.
Yeah. And so, I'm gonna do shameless plug here. So I have a book, Small Business Big Success, that actually won American Book Fest finalist about a month or so ago. And in there, I talk about success at startup, success at operations, success at growth, and success at stepping out. And what I think a lot of people don't understand, especially those who are maybe in the earlier years of their business, is you need to have an exit strategy, I say, even before you open the doors. And the reason I say that is if you know how you want to exit, then you will know how you're going to grow and scale your business. So let's say you want to grow it quickly and sell it and go on and be a serial entrepreneur and do something else. Okay, well, then you're going to grow your business in a certain way. If you want to do what I did, 39 years, extremely successful, but slow and steady and measured and growth, but not huge spikes, right? You grow it in a different way. Some people grow their business quickly to sell it. I took a different path. I wanted to have slow, measured, steady growth over the years, not, 100%, but 10%, 15%, 20%, growing it slowly, adding and building it. That's a different model. And so I just think people need to think about, even when you're just starting the business, how do you want to exit? Because that will also tell you, maybe you don't want to start the business with a partner, or maybe you do want to start it with a partner because that might be your exit. So thinking through all those things is really critical for business owners.
Right. It's almost like that 1% better each day, right? Like just come in and do a little bit, take that baby step, find yourself being as productive as you were the day before, but just a little bit more. And over time, it compounds and exponentially, right?
Well, and there were years where we did want to have spiking growth, but not every year, right? Because that really can stress out an organization if you're not prepared for that growth.
So we kind of talked about your background. Where are you at today, and where do you see yourself going? Because, I would love to know.
Well, so, it's interesting because for one thing, I will tell you that there are lots more options that people have today than they used to have. So I decided to exit the one business, and it was really to focus on some different things. I had done everything I wanted to do. Quite frankly, I'm a person who loves new challenges. So doing the same thing I did last year doesn't work for me real well. So what I'm really focused on now is working with companies to help them improve their communications. And, it sounds like it's soft and fluffy, but what I will tell you is 86% of the problems in the workplace today, and sometimes even higher, are due to the lack of effective collaboration and communication. And we've sort of ignored it. I think COVID, everybody blames COVID, but it was that tipping point where a lot of organizations that were really doing well and building their communications shut it all down. What we are now finding is that people are not that good at selling, communicating, marketing, internal communications, leadership. So I've spent a lot of time developing courses that I work with companies, and I go out and teach groups of people. And really the goal is for everyone to be the best possible version of themselves in the workplace, because that directly impacts productivity. I'm also, frankly, on a mission, if you will call it that. Have a book coming out after the first of the year, which I'm really proud of, because I think it shows the struggles that people have. So the book is called "Should You Stay or Should You Go? Navigating the Emotional Crossroads of Business Ownership." And let me tell you why I think it's important, because I think there are times when business owners need to stay. They still have things they need to do. They're still passionate. They're engaged. They're building a team. There are other times when business owners really need to move on. It's not their passion anymore. Frankly, technology is a huge issue. If you don't embrace technology, it's extremely difficult to run a company these days. So I kind of have these signs, and I'm out talking to people about, if you're going to stay, how do you make it better? If you're going to go, how do you exit? Because emotional readiness is a huge piece of it. I just read an article this morning from someone about how retirement isn't what people think it is. Actually, I know people who I've interviewed who are never going to retire. I might never retire. I'm busy working. But I think people need to think about what's that pattern for their life. And business owners a lot of times don't consider themselves. They're putting everyone ahead of them. They're putting the business ahead of them. And so I think it's real important to think about that.
It's funny that you mentioned about retirement, and like some folks are ready to retire and some folks may never retire. One of my mentors growing up, I was in college and I was learning sales from and owning a business and also like real estate investments. And she was, I think, maybe 85, and she was by day managing this gas station that she had been owning and operating for 45 years, and then also helping run and manage her son's high-end like fitness. It was a gym, right? A high-end gym. And then aside from that, she managed about 8 different rental properties. Yeah. So I was like, and then she was taking care of her mom, and then also being a mom herself and a grandparent. I was just like, you're amazing. Tell me everything and how do I do it similar to you. And she's a mentor for me.
And this is not to diminish.
Shout out Lynn Petchow.
Okay. Well, shout out Lynn. I'd like to meet her.
Yeah,
but,
incredible.
I think sometimes this is not to say for the upcoming book, I've interviewed people who've made all different choices. There are people I know who retired at 62 and went and sat on the beach and are eating bonbons, and they're delighted. They're happy. It's about what works for you. What makes you happy? I happen to love what I do. So I don't plan on not doing it. I'm going to tweak it. I'm going to be a little picky about who I work with. I want to work with people that I love to work with. That's always been my mantra, even when I owned the media company. But I do think we need to really pay attention to the signs. And if you do, you'll see some tipping points. But I interviewed a number of people for my book. One, I'll do a shout out. Dr. Roger Dean Duncan has written a book called Change Friendly Leadership, international bestseller. And this man is never going to retire, he said. He goes, why would I do that? So I think as long as people are healthy and love what they do and are relevant and effective, why shouldn't we embrace that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's something about that body in motion, right? It's like when we're rolling and it keeps us young, it keeps us motivated. You have purpose, right? It is. I think there's a key difference between retirement and doing nothing, and retirement and doing it because you love it, right? Like it's like you're retired because by definition you don't need to work, right? You could retire because financially you're collecting your pension or your 401k is matured and you're ready to financially retire, but you're not like emotionally or spiritually ready to retire, right? You still have a lot of fighting. You still have a lot of work left to do.
Well, and here's what I would tell you. I think the people who are happiest in life are the people who have purpose. Right. Purpose is a really critical thing. Now, you can find your purpose in lots of things. I have found purpose in work. I have found purpose in directing my church choir, which I love to do. I have found purpose in volunteering for organizations like Junior Achievement. But people find their purpose in different ways. But if your purpose is in your work and you love your work, why shouldn't you continue to do that? But you may need to make some adjustments. And those are sort of the things. But, I talk about this even with people who are in their 40s and 50s who are in a business and are unhappy. And I say to them, you spend so much of your time doing the work. Why would you be unhappy? Take that leap and do something. I have one entrepreneur that I know who sold a huge company, did all the typical things, bought a boat, went to Europe, traveled, came home and sat on the couch and said, what the heck do I do now? And went back and is now the CEO of another company. So I think being flexible and understanding that your strengths can translate from position to position. And gosh, if you've got it in you, be a serial entrepreneur. That's an amazing thing to do. Yeah.
My good friend Santo, actually, we met about maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago at this point, and we were both working a job and he must have been the most miserable W-2 employee there ever was.
Sure.
And I was like, what's going on? Like, you're unhappy. Why are you so unhappy? He's like, I gotta be my own boss. I gotta. And I was like, all right, we'll do it. And then I on his own, I mean, he was just super driven, willing to take the risk, and went out and created his business. And every time I see him now, he's much happier, much more driven, much more purpose, right?
Yeah.
Just he
there
got
is
that drive.
Well, I think there is a mindset. Not everyone can be a business owner. Some people are not meant to do it, and that's fine, because we need qualified people who are workers and contributors. But there is a mindset to people who own a business, and you know it when you see it. And that's the sort of thing that when I talk about, and I talk with business owners, get a group of business owners in a room, and you don't need to facilitate anything, because they will just start talking. And the greatest learnings for business owners come from peer to peer, talking with other business owners. That's how we learn, because if you haven't signed the front of the paycheck, it's hard to relate.
Cynthia, let's talk a little bit about things that you expect to see in the next, 6 to 12 months, something you're looking forward to. I always like to wrap these up with a positive note, maybe something that I know that you have a book out now, so feel free to tell us more about that. But
so actually, I've published 3. Book number 4 will come out. I love connecting with business owners and facilitating, speaking. This is really where I get my energy. I get my juice from that. So I am planning on doing a fair amount of speaking. Honestly, if any of your business owners need people to come out and speak, I do a lot on behalf of the Edward Lowe Foundation and also the National Small Business Association. So I love doing that, but I also am looking forward to doing some things I haven't had the time to do. And so I'm doing a little more travel, which I've never had the time to do. When you're running an organization and you've got employees, it's difficult. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. I've recently rejoined the Junior Achievement Board. For those of you who don't know about Junior Achievement, it teaches young people life skills and business skills. And I'm so excited about that because, whether you own a business or not, those are all skills that young people need. Understanding finances, understanding budgets. So I'm looking forward to donating my time and also going out and speaking.
Fantastic. Cynthia, thank you so much for being a guest today. Really do appreciate it. If anybody is listening and would love to get in contact with you and just learn more about you and your experience and the book tour or your
absolutely.
How would they reach out to you?
Well, the easiest way is to reach out to me on LinkedIn, because obviously we're all on LinkedIn. So that would be the best place. But otherwise, Cynthia Kay Biz. .com, and feel free to reach out to me. But always love to talk to business owners. Then I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for your time. It really was a pleasure.
All right. Thank you.